My name is Nora Whitmore, and I never imagined that one Thanksgiving text from my mother-in-law would completely change the way I looked at my marriage. For 7 years, I had tried to keep the peace with my husband's mother, Patricia, even when keeping the peace meant swallowing my pride and pretending certain things didn't bother me. Patricia had always been the kind of woman who believed family gatherings were her territory. She decided where everyone sat, what everyone ate, what time dinner started, and even who was allowed to bring dessert. My husband, Ethan, usually stayed quiet whenever his mother became difficult. He would tell me, "Just let her have this one thing, Nora. Thanksgiving only happens once a year." I had listened to him for years. I helped Patricia prepare Thanksgiving dinner. I bought groceries. I paid for the catering when she decided cooking was too much work. I even covered the electricity bill for her house because she had been struggling financially after retiring. I never considered it a big deal because she was family. But that year, everything changed. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I was sitting at my desk at work when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Patricia. I opened it expecting something about dinner. Instead, I read, "Your BANNED from Thanksgiving this year. Do not come to my house." I stared at the message for several seconds, then another text appeared. "Ethan will be here with the rest of the family. You are not welcome." I felt my stomach drop. I immediately called Ethan. He answered after several rings. "Hey, Nora, did your mother tell you she banned me from Thanksgiving?" There was silence. "Mom told me she was upset with you." "Upset about what?" I asked. "I don't know exactly." I laughed because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Ethan, your mother just told me I'm not allowed at Thanksgiving and you're telling me you don't know why." He sighed. "Maybe you two should talk." "She doesn't want to talk, she wants me gone." Another silence followed. Finally, Ethan said, "I'll deal with it later." "No," I said quietly, "you won't." He sounded surprised. "What do you mean?" I looked at the bills sitting on my desk. Patricia's electricity bill was on autopay from our joint household account, so was her internet. Phone plan, her car insurance, her streaming subscriptions, even the monthly payment for the medical alert system she used at home. I had been paying most of those bills for almost 2 years because Patricia had told us she couldn't afford them after retirement. I had never used those payments against her. I had never reminded her that I was the reason the lights stayed on. But suddenly, after being told I wasn't welcome in her home, something inside me changed. "Nothing," I said. "Enjoy Thanksgiving." I ended the call. I didn't argue with Patricia. I didn't send an angry message. I didn't tell the family what she had done. Instead, I opened my banking app and reviewed every automatic payment connected to Patricia's household. Electricity, internet, phone, car insurance, home security, grocery delivery, even the subscription for the meal service she had been receiving every week. I stared at the list for a long time. Then I started cancelling them. Not because I wanted to punish an elderly woman, but because I realized something important. These weren't obligations, they were favors, and nobody can demand favors from someone while simultaneously telling them they're not family. I cancelled every payment that wasn't legally or contractually mine. I left her personal bank account untouched. I simply stopped using our money to pay her expenses. By the time I finished, there were 12 cancelled automatic payments. I put my phone down and went back to work. The next morning, Patricia called me. I didn't answer. She called again, then again. I let it ring. An hour later, Ethan called. "Nora, what did you do? What are you talking about? Mom says her electricity payment didn't go through. Maybe she should call the company. She says the internet payment was cancelled too. That's unfortunate." Ethan became frustrated. "Did you cancel them?" I paused. "Yes." "Why?" I almost couldn't believe the question. "Because they're Patricia's bills, Ethan. She told me I'm banned from her house. I assumed she didn't need me anymore." "You can't just do that," he shouted. I stayed calm. "Actually, I can. They're not my bills." He hung up. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. That afternoon, Patricia called me 11 times. I didn't answer a single call. Then came the messages. "How could you do this? The electricity company says my payment was cancelled. Call me immediately." Then, "This is an emergency." I stared at that last message. I wasn't cruel. I knew Patricia needed electricity, and I knew she had medication that required refrigeration. So I called Ethan and told him to make sure she had enough money to cover the bill herself. "I'm not leaving her without electricity," I said, "but I'm also not paying it after she told me I'm not welcome." Ethan didn't respond. Thanksgiving arrived. I stayed home. I made myself a small dinner and watched a movie. Around 6 that evening, my phone started ringing repeatedly. First Ethan, then Patricia, then Ethan again. I ignored all of them. By 8 o'clock, I had 80 missed calls. 80. I finally answered when Ethan called again. "Nora, please." His voice sounded different, not angry anymore, tired. "What happened?" I asked. "Mom needs help." "Then help her." "I am trying." "Ethan, you have brothers and sisters, you have cousins, you have a whole family that was invited to Thanksgiving. I'm sure someone can help." He went quiet, then he said something I didn't expect. Everyone thought you were paying for everything. I laughed softly. Of course they did. Mom told everyone you were helping because you wanted to. I did want to help. Then why stop now? I looked out the window. Because helping someone is a choice. Disrespected isn't something I have to accept in exchange for helping. Ethan didn't answer. After a few seconds he said, Mom wants to apologize. She can apologize when she's ready, but I'm not discussing money tonight. The next morning Patricia came to my house. She stood outside for almost a minute before knocking. When I opened the door, she looked completely different from the confident woman who had texted me 3 days earlier. She looked embarrassed. Can I come in? She asked. I stepped aside. She sat at the kitchen table. For several moments she didn't speak. Finally she said, I made a mistake. I waited. I was angry because I thought you were taking Ethan away from me. I shook my head. I never tried to take him away. I know that now. She looked down at her hands. I wanted Thanksgiving to be perfect. I wanted everyone there, and I thought if you weren't there nobody would argue with me. I almost smiled. So you banned me? She nodded. Yes. And then you expected me to keep paying your bills. Her face turned red. I didn't think about it. That's the problem, Patricia. You didn't think about me at all. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. I believed she was sorry, but forgiveness didn't mean pretending nothing happened. I'll forgive you, I said, but the bills are staying in your name now. She nodded slowly. That's fair. Then she surprised me. Can I ask you something? What? Will you come to Christmas? I looked at her for a moment. We'll see. She smiled sadly. I deserve that. Over the next few weeks, Patricia started handling her own expenses. Ethan helped her create a budget. Her other children began contributing as well. Something unexpected happened because of that. For the first time, everyone in the family realized how much I had quietly been doing. Nobody had noticed the grocery deliveries, the insurance payments, the utility bills, the appointments I scheduled, or the emergency repairs I had arranged. They had simply assumed things happened because Patricia was their mother. At Christmas, Patricia invited me again. This time the invitation came directly from her. She didn't demand anything. She didn't give me rules. She simply wrote, if you feel comfortable, I'd like you to come. I went. When I arrived, Patricia opened the door herself. She hugged me and whispered, thank you for giving me another chance. I smiled. Thank you for finally understanding that helping you doesn't mean you get to control me. She nodded. That Thanksgiving text had taught me something I should have understood years earlier. Sometimes people don't realize how much you do for them until you stop doing it. And sometimes the strongest response isn't screaming, arguing, or exposing someone in front of the whole family. Sometimes it's simply stepping back, removing your name from things that were never your responsibility, and letting people understand the difference between family support and family entitlement. Patricia had banned me from Thanksgiving because she thought I would always be there no matter how she treated me. She was wrong. I would be there when I was respected. I would help when I was appreciated, but I would never again confuse love with obligation. And after 80 missed calls, Patricia finally understood the message I never had to say out loud. You don't get to throw someone out of your life and still expect them to keep paying for it.